Sir Michael Caine is more than a celebrated actor. He is a living example of endurance, honesty, and quiet strength. Across more than 7 decades of work, he never relied on spectacle or reinvention to remain relevant. Instead, he built a career rooted in authenticity, bringing real life into every role he played. From the confident social awareness of Alfie to the calm moral center he embodied as Alfred Pennyworth in the Dark Knight trilogy, his performances carried a depth that felt lived rather than performed. Audiences responded not just to his talent, but to the truth in his voice, shaped by real streets and real experience rather than theatrical polish. He never pretended to be someone else, and that refusal became his greatest strength. Beneath the awards and global recognition lies a life shaped by survival, patience, and steady growth. A reminder that lasting greatness often arrives quietly. Childhood in the shadow of war. Michael Caine was born Maurice Joseph Micklewhite Jr. on March 14, 1933, into a working-class London family at a time when life offered few guarantees. His father worked exhausting hours in the fish market, while his mother cleaned houses to help keep the family afloat. Their home was small, privacy was rare, and comfort was limited, yet determination held everything together. When World War II reached London, childhood changed overnight. Air raid sirens, bomb streets, and constant uncertainty became part of daily life. Like many children of his generation, Michael was evacuated, separated from family, and forced to adapt quickly. These experiences didn't make him dramatic or hardened. They made him observant. He learned to watch people closely, to listen carefully, and to understand emotion without words, skills that would later define his acting more than any formal training ever could. Growing up too soon. The years after the war offered little relief, and adulthood arrived early. Michael's education ended not because of lack of ability, but because survival required immediate work. As a teenager, he took on clerical jobs, messenger work, and warehouse labor, whatever paid the bills. These jobs were not glamorous, but they taught him discipline and humility. More importantly, they placed him among people whose lives were shaped by effort rather than opportunity. He watched how disappointment, hope, and resilience showed themselves in posture and speech. Military service later added structure and responsibility, while also exposing him to how quickly life could change. When he returned to civilian life, there were no shortcuts waiting. These years stripped away romantic ideas about struggle and replaced them with something sturdier. Persistence without bitterness, patience without entitlement, and the understanding that progress often comes slowly, if at all. Discovering. Acting as a lifeline. Acting did not begin as a childhood fantasy, but emerged as a practical refuge, a place where direction, purpose, and possibility briefly aligned. Small theater groups and touring productions offered little financial security, but they provided something invaluable: belonging. Rejection was constant and often blunt, shaped by rigid expectations around class, accent, and appearance. His natural voice was frequently dismissed as unsuitable, yet it was inseparable from who he was. Rather than change it, he chose to carry it forward. Adopting the name Michael Caine was not an attempt to erase his past, but a way to move forward with clarity. Progress came slowly, measured in survival rather than success. By the time recognition arrived, it rested on years of unseen persistence, cold nights, unstable work, and quiet belief. Acting became not just a career, but a reason to keep moving forward. Breaking through without losing himself. The mid-1960s marked a turning point when films like Zulu and Alfie introduced something new to British cinema. A leading man who sounded like the streets he came from and looked like someone audiences recognized. Success arrived quickly, bringing financial stability and creative freedom, but also pressure and exhaustion. Fame demanded constant motion, and expectations never paused. Michael Caine never pretended that confidence replaced doubt. He spoke openly about uncertainty and fear of decline, acknowledging that success is fragile. When critics suggested his best years were behind him, he didn't retreat. He kept working. Films like Educating Rita marked not just a professional resurgence, but a personal reminder that longevity is built on adaptation. His career proved that relevance doesn't come from chasing trends, but from returning to craft, humility, and the willingness to begin again. Love, relationships, and emotional growth. Behind the public career were private struggles shaped by love, separation, and gradual emotional maturity. Early relationships unfolded under financial stress and professional uncertainty, conditions that strain even the strongest bonds. Ambition and survival often pulled in different directions, leaving little space for stability. Over time, reflection replaced regret, and experience softened what youth had sharpened. His marriage to Shakira Caine brought balance and grounding to a life once defined by constant movement. Their partnership was built on mutual respect rather than image, offering calm instead of chaos. Family relationships, once fractured by circumstance, slowly healed. These changes didn't happen quickly or easily, but they proved that growth does not end with youth. Emotional maturity became part of his life's later chapters, reminding us that it's never too late to build something lasting and meaningful. Living with loss and memory. Loss has quietly accompanied Michael Caine throughout his life, arriving through the passing of parents, friends, and longtime collaborators. Each loss left its mark, reshaping how he understood time and connection. Rather than avoiding grief, he acknowledged it openly, speaking about sadness without allowing it to consume him. Memory became a guide rather than a burden, helping him focus on gratitude instead of resentment. He came to understand that survival does not mean escaping loss, but learning how to live alongside it with dignity. These experiences deepened his sense of humanity, influencing his later performances in subtle but powerful ways. His portrayals carried a calm weight, not dramatic, not sentimental, but deeply human. Through loss, he learned that meaning is often found not in what remains untouched, but in what endures despite absence. Aging with grace and acceptance. As the years passed, Michael Caine approached aging with honesty rather than fear. Physical limitations replaced former ease, and daily routines shifted, yet his identity remained intact. He never framed aging as defeat, but as a natural transition requiring adaptation. Public appearances became fewer by choice, not withdrawal. He valued presence over productivity and reflection over recognition. In an industry often obsessed with youth and visibility, his acceptance offered a quiet counterpoint. He demonstrated that worth does not diminish with time and that contribution does not always require being seen. Aging for him became another chapter to understand rather than resist. This perspective resonated deeply with audiences, showing that dignity lies not in clinging to the past, but in meeting each stage of life with humility, clarity, and self-respect. The true meaning of his legacy. Michael Caine's legacy extends far beyond awards or box office success. His true impact lies in representation of working-class identity on screen, of resilience without bitterness, and of success achieved without abandoning one's roots. Younger actors often describe him not only as an icon, but as a guide who understands the long view of a career. He emphasized preparation as respect, professionalism as kindness, and patience as strength. His journey shows that longevity is earned through consistency rather than spectacle. By remaining himself in an industry that often demands reinvention, he proved that authenticity can be a lasting advantage. His story reminds us that greatness does not always arrive loudly, and that endurance, more than brilliance, is what ultimately leaves a meaningful mark. A life still lived fully today, Michael Caine lives surrounded by the comforts he earned and the relationships he values most. His days are shaped by simple pleasures, conversation, reading, shared meals, and reflection. He remains engaged with the world, thoughtful about its changes, and grateful for the long path he traveled. No longer driven by constant ambition, he is guided by presence and meaning. His journey stands as proof that survival itself is an achievement, and that a life shaped by hardship can still arrive at peace. In the end, his greatest role was never scripted. It was the lifelong act of becoming, enduring, and remaining human through every chapter.